What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So I need a new lab environment for this space, something to mess around with, build things and wrap my head around new concept like Docker and some of the fun tech and whatever else I choose to tinker around with. But the thing is, I also need storage, but I don't want to go too crazy and set things up like I have in my home lab environment. Now, yes, I know I could just set up a VPN and then be able to VPN into my home environment and be able to do the things that I need to do there so I don't have to build a new lab environment here. But I want something new, something small, something that's flexible, and something, like I said before, that allow me to have some sort of storage and be able to allow me to be able to tinker around with things and build new things as well. So I picked up this guy. This is the AOOSTAR WTR Pro. I think I'm saying it right. It's a 4-bay NAS mini PC system, and it has the AMD Ryzen 7 with 64 gigs of RAM and 1 TB SSD. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm going to install on this yet. I haven't even bought the drives for it yet, but what I'm thinking is that I want to install TrueNAS mainly because I need a storage system, like I said earlier. And now that TrueNAS also support virtualization, Docker, and other things as well, it could be a solid all-in-one solution. But, and this is a big but, TrueNAS isn't exactly built for virtualization. And this is my first time trying TrueNAS and installing it to be able to use it. So that could be a whole headache on its own. And let's be real for a second, you can never go wrong with Proxmox. So I'm in between those two things, whether or not I want to install TrueNAS on it or Proxmox on it. But that's a video for another day. For now, I just want to talk about this guy a little. For those of you guys that are looking into getting something for your small home lab, I wanted to talk about it a little bit, talk about the specs, talk about the physical aspect and how it looks and feels. So let's roll the intro clip. When we come back, we're going to talk all about this guy. Let's go. All right, so let's talk about the build quality real quick. First off, this thing feels very solid. It has a full metal chassis. There are a couple of components to it that's plastic. So the front cover is plastic. It has 4 magnetic components on the front side, on each edge of this cover. So when you kind of stick it to it, it just snaps in place because there's also magnetic components on the front of the device itself. The trays are also plastic. This front section is also plastic. And if you move this guy, there's this guy right here. If you move it back and forth, it's also plastic. It covers the power button, so you can cover or uncover the power button. The back is also plastic. The ventilation, the fan, where the fan is, the ventilation system is also plastic. And this back end is also plastic as well. But outside of that, the whole system, the whole chassis is, it's metal. It feels very premium. It's very heavy. Well, maybe I shouldn't say very heavy. It's heavy. It has some weight to it. And this is without any sort of drive installed on it yet. It already feels very heavy. So it feels very premium. Look and feel, it looks beautiful to me. It looks very casual. It feels like something that you can just put on top of your desk. Even if you don't want to put it on some sort of like a mini rack or anything like that, you can just put it on your desk. It feels premium and it feels really well built. Another thing to think about as well is that the port layout is actually pretty well thought out on this thing. Everything is easily accessible on the side of the device, and you get a mix of like ports. I will talk about these ports later on. You get a mix of ports, so you will never run into like, I don't have the right port, so I don't have anywhere to plug something. They give you a good amount of ports, and again, I will talk about these ports a little bit later down in the video, but it's very well placed. So when you're testing things or when you have it on your desk or on a rack, you don't have to worry about going behind and be trying to plug things in the back. Everything's on the side, which makes it very accessible and very well placed and very, very well thought out, in my opinion. I like it. I like where it's located, and just makes it a little bit easier to kind of be able to connect things to it. Okay, so ventilation wise, there's a fan on the back. This is plastic, like I said earlier. It's a good size fan for ventilation and cooling. And at the bottom, there's this panel. So as you can see, there's this panel, this removable panel at the bottom, which is metal as well. And on the panel, once you remove the panel, you'll be able to find the NVMe SSD as well as the RAM. So like I said earlier, I went with the 1 TB SSD and 2 32 GB DDR4 RAM. You also have a few more. You also have room for expansion. So depending on what you decide to do with it, or depending on what I decide to do with it, I will most likely beef things up a little bit to be able to accommodate what I'm trying to do with this guy. And on the front, like I said earlier, you have this cover. It's a removable cover. It has this magnetic components to it, and you just stick to it, which makes it really nice. It makes it really, presentation-wise, it makes it look a little bit more nicer with this guy covering the forefront of it. It just kind of adds a little bit more finesse to it. Gives a little bit more finesse, right? So the tray, this is the Bay Area. The trays are really easy to remove. You just kind of press this little guy right here, and it's kind of removable. And you can remove it like so, and you can just put it back in and then snap things in place. But even though the device in itself feels very solid, the tray does feel a little bit chip. It is plastic, so once you take it out, it just feels a little bit chip, which is not bad. Again, because it's something that you put the drive in and then snap it in place. But it do feel a little bit chip compared to the rest of the device, which is metal, and it feels heavy, and it feels kind of pretty well built. If I have to say what is the cheapest part, or what feels very cheap on this device, I would say these trays. But outside of that, everything else feels pretty solid. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like build goes. So it has a solid construction, a solid build, good cooling system, and a very clean design. Again, this guy helped a lot. A very clean design that just makes it look pretty nice. I have no complaint with the way it looks so far. It looks really simple. It seems as if you can just put it anywhere and you'll be able to get away with it just sitting there. So look-wise, solid construction, solid look, looks good for me. So the ports, you have two USB 3.0, you have two USB 2.0, right? And then you have a USB Type-C that can also power the device. According to them, I don't know if you want to try that, but you can try it and it's able to power the device, but it comes with a power supply as well, so I don't know if there's a need for that, but if you want to, you can use the USB Type-C to be able to power the device. It has one HDMI port, and it has one display port as well. All right, this device is really heavy. As you can see, I'm actually I'm struggling to hold the device. It is really heavy, so it makes it feel really good, really premium, again, in my opinion. But again, you have one HDMI, one display, you have a micro SD card, you have the USB Type-C here, again, that can be used to power. You have two Ethernet ports, which are 2.5 gig Ethernet ports. And then you have the power. And then you have a headphone jack here as well, in case you want to connect your headphone directly into it. So there's a variety of ports, so I don't think you're going to run out of ports to connect things to. But all in all, that's pretty much all you get for the ports. Really solid amount of ports for you to be able to connect things. Granted that it doesn't have a 10 gig Ethernet port, it has a 2.5 gig Ethernet ports, but to me, honestly, I don't think if it's I don't know if it's necessary for me in my environment, because I don't have a 10 gig Ethernet at home anyways, in this office anyway, so it doesn't make sense to really have that. I guess it's future-proof. If you want to future-proof, you want something to have 10 gig, but it doesn't. And for me, this device is going to be a starter device where I do a lot of things at an affordable rate, nothing too expensive. So 2 gig, 2.5 gig works perfectly fine for me now at this moment. But if you want something a little bit heavy, maybe you might want to consider that. But as far as ports goes, that's pretty much all you get for the ports for the device. A lot for you to be able to do the things that you need to do. Okay, so the thing that I love about this guy is that it's easily upgradable. So if I start running into some limitation in regards to space and other factors, I can upgrade things as I go along. And that's important for me because I want a lab environment that is affordable and can grow as I grow. And I feel like this can do that for me at this point in time. Granted that there's some hardware limitation that you might run into, one of which might be like the Ethernet ports. If you need something that surpasses 2.5 gig and you want something a little bit like around the 10 gig maybe, you might want to consider that before you pick this up. But for me, it's great, it's upgradable, and it's going to grow as I grow. And that's what I'm looking for right now. So that's pretty much it for this device. So like I said earlier, I have been thinking a lot as to what I want to install on this guy. And right now I'm leaning more and more towards TrueNAS, but I'm also thinking that maybe I can install Proxmox on this, then install TrueNAS on Proxmox, and install pfSense on Proxmox to have my firewall there as well, and have this device become like a all-in-one device. But there's a lot to think about there. There's some limitations that might run into there. So it's still thinking as to what I want to do with it. But for now, I am leaning more and more towards TrueNAS, but that's a video for another day. Today, I just wanted to kind of give a quick overview of the device and how it feels and how it looks so far. And in the next video, on the coming videos, we're going to talk about whether or not we want to just install everything on this guy, or whether or not we want to build out some other things as well to, well, make the lab environment a little bit more robust. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow us on all of our other social media platforms. I'll see you guys in the next one. I have a lot more videos coming out in regards to building out this environment, this lab environment, and some of the things, the step-by-step things that I'm going to be doing to be able to put things together and test things out. Because what's cool and all this other stuff as well, there's a lot of projects and things like that I have to work on. I need to be able to build something that kind of reflect that, something that's not too expensive, something that I can actually use and max it out, because I think a lot of us get lost in the idea of buying this new thing that someone recommended on YouTube, or buying this other thing so you can make your lab environment look pretty and nice. We kind of get lost and forget that the whole idea of a home lab is to have something small and be able to put as much as you can on it until you max it out, and then move on to something a little bit more different, a little bit more advanced. So that is the one thing that I have in the back of my mind while I'm going to build this lab environment. And the idea is find things that are small but are scalable as you grow, and use it until you max it out, and then move on to something that's a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to be creating a video that talks about a new device every single day. It's going to talk about, hey, this is the device that I got, and these are the things that I'm building on it, because again, as I said, I have to build a lot of things for school. So being able to have this and being able to have something that's a all-in-one solution that can allow me to build things and put a lot of things on it, whether it's storage, whether it's Docker, whether it's Linux, whether it's like anything that I want, put it on it until I max it out. And then I'm like, okay, time to move on to something else. So it's not about the devices, buying a new device all the time. It's about buying something, at least moving forward, that I can share with you guys as to how I build things on it and break it and be able to move on to something better as we surpass these things. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, thumbs up. As always, do not forget to stay geeking. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.